interviewed on the first baseline by Tony Kubek of NBC, and I looked over at Three River Stadium, and the dugout roofs are 10 feet off the field level. And I saw this guy trying to break through the security there. Finally, he did, jumped down 10 feet, started running out toward us on the first base line. And of course, after the second step, I saw it was my dad. And I wouldn't not insult your emotions by making something like that up, but to see, we've all had fathers, or hopefully have fathers, and there are those singular moments that you see something on your dad's face that you will remember for the rest of your life. And that look was it for me when he came out. He got involved in the interview. He wound up on a picture in Sports Illustrated. But yeah, I don't do computers. I touched my wife's computer the other day and the garage door went up. So I have that. I have that in my life forever. I have to tell you about one other teammate, Manny Sanguillen, who wore his love of the game on his shoulder. To play at this level, you have to love the game. Some guys just wear it. And Manny Sanguillen didn't, or did, and still does. And I was thinking that when we brought him up to the big leagues in 1966, he spoke better English than he does now. I just saw him last week at a homestand, and we talked for 20 minutes. I don't have a clue what he said. But he's one of my favorites, and I can tell stories because he tells them on me too. And he's just an absolute delight. He was always a favorite of everybody in the Pittsburgh area. And people ask me many times, what's the difference as a major league athlete between what's more important, confidence or success? And a lot of people say, well, you got to have confidence to be successful. But I think you really have to succeed before you really know it. Then you're not thinking you do. You've proven that you could do it. Manny Sanguillen was the exception to that rule. We bought him up in 1966, and on a Wednesday, I believe, around 10 o'clock in the morning, he signed his first major league contract for $7 grand. At 2 o'clock that afternoon, he went out and bought a $15,000 Cadillac. He'd been in the big leagues about 4 hours, and he was already $8 grand in the hole. So, but he stayed around a long time. And I had the honor of catching his first major league catching assignment at Wrigley Field in Chicago. He'd never caught in the big leagues. This was his first major league game, and I was the pitcher. And we go out there at Wrigley Field. They get us out 1, 2, 3 in the top of the first. And bottom of the first, I give up a base hit and 2 walks. I got the bases loaded. I think I can still hear the anthem. It happened so quick. And Sangy decides to have his first ever pitchers conference, ever. So he turns around the umpire, calls timeout. He comes jogging out, lifts the mask, big smile on his face, and says, "Oh, you know," and then he goes back. That's the conference. Oh, what did I know? I know him in a jam, and then he put down one figure for fastball. Ernie Banks promptly hit the ball into Lake Michigan. Hall of Famer Ernie Banks, 500 home runs. So that's not the end of the story. There's one more chapter because we go from Chicago down to Atlanta, and Sangy's going to have his second ever Major League catcher's game. His second ever. And guess who gets to pitch again? So we go out, and it's the same thing, deja vu. They get us out 1, 2, 3. I got 3 on, nobody out. Only it's not Ernie Banks this time. It's Henry Aaron, the best ever. At that point, with the bases loaded and nobody out and Henry Aaron up, Sangy decides to have his second ever Major League Pitchers Conference. Timeout, comes jogging out, lifts the mask, big smile on his face, and says, "Oh, you throw a double play. I can call Sears and order a double play, right?" That's it. That's the conference. He goes back down. He puts 3 fingers down for the slider, and I wind up, and I let go of the ball. Do you ever have these dreams where everything slows down? I let the ball go, and as it gets closer and closer to Henry, Henry's eyes get bigger and bigger and bigger, and he just crushes the ball. But he doesn't get any height on it. He knocks about 4 bricks out of the wall at Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta. And the bases are cleared. All 3 runners score. Henry's on second base, and Sangy comes out, lifts the mask, still a big smile on his face, and said, "I no say double, I say double play." And of course, I was excused early that night. So, well, it's been a long evening. I can't be up here and tell you how much I enjoy broadcasting because I started with Bob Prince, who was phenomenal, unbelievable. Just there will never be anybody like him. And my only story that I can tell about Bob, because he's quite a character, was the fact that back in Falls Village, Connecticut, whenever I pitched, my dad would get in his car with a 6-pack and just go drive around Falls Village until KDK would come in, He'd shut it down, drink the beer while I was pitching, and then at the end of each season, he would send Bob Prince an invoice for 2 car batteries and 16 cases of beer. So that was one of Prince's favorite stories. Now, I do want to say something about a gentleman here, but before I do, I know David Diorio tried to ask me a question. He got busy beforehand, but I know you wanted to ask me if I ever hit a home run, and thank you for that, David. It was so long ago, I don't remember much about it, except it was September 5th, 1969. At Wrigley Field, the temperature was 72 degrees, humidity was 43%, winds out of the west at about 5 miles an hour. The attendance was 30,412. Ken Holtzman was a pitcher. There were 2 men on. The rest of it's kind of vague, but David, that's the best I can do. The great thing was about it, I ran to first base, and the coach said, take a left, because I had always veered off back into the dugout. So thank you for that. But I will conclude by just briefly saying something about a gentleman who's up here. And you have honored a friend of mine, Reno Diorio, tonight, and I salute you for that recognition. You know, in the course of a lifetime, you run across a lot of really, really rock-solid, decent people, good people, solid people. But I had a friend tell me once, if toward the end of your life you have or have had 5 real friends, you are a wealthy man. You are a fortunate man. And Reno Diorio's on my list of 5. It's as simple as that. He helped our son David at Lindsley School, kind of helped him untangle his life a little bit, point him in the right direction. And our son was not unique. Reno Diorio has done that for hundreds of sons, help them untangle things and help them figure some things out. There's 3 things that mean a lot when I think of Reno. He's a decent man, he's a consistent man, he's a caring man. And I not only respect that, I envy that. I envy that a lot. And it might sound like faint praise in this age of superlatives and accolades, but I don't think so. I don't think there's much more you can say in a complimentary fashion than to say that about a person. My heroes are people who heal and people who teach. We're allowed to have heroes too, and Reno falls into that category. There's one other thing you need to know about Reno Diorio. He and I play a lot of golf, and he remains in the top 5 of the worst putters in America. And that's no lie. But Reno, as far as I'm concerned, not every champion wears a uniform. You are a champion, and you are also in my Hall of Fame. I will conclude by saying that sometimes people ask me for advice. I've got 2 things. First of all, be kind. Your life will be a little sweeter, and you'll sleep better. The second is be yourself. Everybody else is taken. Thank you.